You've been told that Buddhism transcends superstition, that meditation and insight dissolve every phantom of fear. And yet across Himalayan monasteries and urban temples alike, whispers persist. A monk convulses in trance. A layperson's voice shifts in a ritual. A temple bell tolls to expel unseen intruders. Are these tales mere folklore to bind the credulous, or do Buddhist traditions confront real spirits whose agendas clash with Dharma's path? I'm SilentFlame. In this series, we'll descend into the shadowed crossroads of belief and experience, examining whether spirit possession is Buddhist mythology, psychological projection, or undeniable encounter with realms beyond sight. To understand a phenomenon, map the spectrum from the archetypal to the regional. Mara, the tempter, the Buddha's own adversary. Mara embodies inner defilements and external enticements. Is Mara a metaphor for ego's darkness, or does he manifest in exorcism hymns, dharmapalas and protectors? Fierce deities like Yamantaka guard the Dharma through wrathful compassion. Their iconography suggests both inner psychological powers and literal guardians of pilgrim souls. Yaksas, Pishakas, and Pretas. Regional folklore teems with hungry ghosts, flesh-eating demons, and nature spirits. Monastics record exorcism rituals in Himalayan villages. Performances some dismiss as theatrics, others attest as life-saving. Tibetan Phurba and beyond. The transference of consciousness practice presumes a post-mortem wandering, susceptible to spirit intrusion. Do these rites reflect real encounters or skillful means to calm bereaved hearts? From cosmic tempters to the starving dead. Buddhist cosmology brims with beings between heaven and hell. Yet the question remains, do they truly cross our threshold? Is spirit possession a crack in the psyche or a breach by another realm? Buddhism has no neat answer, only a spectrum of explanations that blur inner and outer worlds. Projection of inner shadows. In meditation, unresolved traumas and fears can erupt as voices and visions, inner demons taking on a life of their own. Yet labeling every disturbance as psychology risks denying experiences that resist rational containment. Klesha entities. Classic texts describe kleshas, mental poisons like greed or aversion, as beings that can possess the mind. When anger takes over, is that metaphor or literal takeover by a wrathful spirit? Neurosis or noetic assault? Psychiatric models attribute trance, dissociation, and auditory hallucinations to trauma or mental illness. But for those steeped in Dharma, these events often feel like interruptions by forces beyond brain chemistry. The middle way of explanation. Some traditions embrace both. Spirits can exploit psychic vulnerabilities, and the mind can conjure spirits to house unprocessed suffering. In that liminal zone, exorcism is both therapy and ritual warfare. Between synapse and spirit world lies a territory Buddhism refuses to map cleanly, forcing us to ask, when does the mind end and the demon begin? Monks chant mantras, brandish bells, and wield phurbas, ritual daggers, to cut through possession. But what is being severed? The psyche's own tangles, or intruding souls? Mantra as psychoacoustic weapon. The rhythmic intonation of wrathful protector chants rattles neural loops, shattering obsessive thought patterns. Is this sonic therapy or a genuine banishment of spirit parasites? Phurba and the iron point. Driving the phurba into earth symbolically pins down errant entities. For believers, spirits shriek and flee. For skeptics, the dramatic gesture anchors the sufferer's attention, ending dissociation. Smoke offerings, and the smell of fear, burning juniper or yak butter lamps, fills besieged spaces with pungent smoke. It can literally clear pathogens or clear breath and focus, break in a trance state that masquerades as possession. Community witness as containment exorcism is always public. The gathered Sangha watches, bears witness, and holds the space. This collective vigilance can stabilize a collapsing psyche or truly reinforce the idea that unseen watchers patrol our souls. These rituals straddle medicine and magic, healing or haunting. The line depends on whether you see the demon in the flesh or the shadow in the mind. Spirit possession in Buddhism isn't a monolith. From the frozen peaks of Tibet to Southeast Asia's balmy villages, each culture projects its own spectres and its own cures. Tibetan Chod and the Feast for Ghosts. In Chod practice, practitioners visualize offering their bodies to hungry spirits, transforming fear into communion. Is this a radical diplomacy with the dead, or a psychological reframe of confronting inner emptiness? Thai Phai Ta Kon festivals. Thailand's ghost festivals blur playful masks with genuine reverence. Villagers dance between life and death, mocking spirits to keep them at bay. Does collective mockery exorcise terror, or does it risk inviting the very entities it mocks? Japanese shugendo and mountain demons. Shugendo ascetics challenge themselves in wild terrain, confronting yokai and kami. Their rites dramatize the soul's rugged journey. Are these trials cosmic reality checks or extreme forms of exposure therapy? Sri Lankan devil dancers, Sani Yakuma. Elaborate exorcism dramas invoke 18 demons of disease. The audience laughs and trembles as masked priests embody each illness. Does communal catharsis drive away unseen foes, or merely externalize communal anxieties into ritual theatre? Urban possession narratives. In modern cities, possession tales adapt. Commuter breakdowns become hauntings of the overcrowded mind. Exorcisms move from shrine to clinic. Is this evolution healing, or merely a clever repackaging of psychic distress? Every region paints its spirits with local pigments, reminding us that the demons we banish often mirror the fears our cultures refuse to face. Not every phurba strike lands home, nor every chant scatters the unseen. Sometimes the demon outlasts the monk, and faith crumbles in the echoing silence. The relentless yaksa of Mustang. In a remote Himalayan valley, generations of lamas performed exorcisms on a rock-dwelling demon. Yet villagers still speak of midnight howls and spectral footprints. Is the spirit truly unkillable? Or does the ritual's failure reveal the community's own unaddressed dread? Monks break down in the urban shrine. A respected abbot, after conducting dozens of successful ceremonies, fell into a years-long trance he could not break. Fellow clergy attributed it to a curse, psychiatrists to breakdown. Yet the abbot insisted a Dharmapala had claimed him. Whom do we believe when ritual mastery collapses into madness? The abandoned temple of Koyasan, once renowned for purifying lost souls, a mountain temple lost its congregation when exorcisms ceased to work. Pilgrims demanded miracles. When none came, priests departed, ghosts unbanished. The emptiness left behind echoes both physical desertion and spiritual disillusionment, ritual burnout, and cynical scarcity. In sprawling cities, exorcists charge premium fees for high-power ceremonies. When spirits shrug off costly rituals, seekers blame flimsy dharma, not their own desperation. The market's failure erodes Buddhism's claim to otherworldly efficacy. When rituals falter, the spectre of meaninglessness looms larger than any demon, forcing us to ask, what truly holds power, ritual or belief? Modern minds demand test tubes and brain scans, but when science meets possession, the border between explanation and mystery fractures. Neuroimaging the possessed brain. EEG studies show trance states light up limbic and prefrontal regions atypically. Yet critics argue these are just seizure mimics. No proof of spirits. Is the neural anomaly the prisoner, or the key to the unseen? Pharmacology versus phantoms. Antipsychotics quell hallucinatory possession, but so do high-altitude rituals and intense fasting. When biochemical intervention mimics exorcism's effects, do we unmask medicine as the real master, leaving spirits as comforting fictions? Cultural competence in psychiatry. Clinicians trained in Western models often misdiagnose possession as schizophrenia, but local healers decry psychiatrists as spirit deniers. Whose paradigm holds the torch to liberation from suffering? The frontier of parapsychology. Experimenters once probed mediumistic claims with senses and seances, always teetering between scandal and breakthrough. Does parapsychology edge us closer to spirit proof, or merely amplify the folly of chasing shadows? Science may shrink the realm of the supernatural, but in the spaces it leaves blank, other mysteries gather force, mocking our certainty. In a world snapping photos and streaming live, spirit possession clings to headlines and viral clips. But are these tales revelations or clever fabrications feeding our fascination with the uncanny? Viral exorcisms and clickbait chants. YouTube and TikTok teem with dramatic possession videos. Faces warped, voices altered under chanting. Many are staged or edited, yet our instinct is to believe what shocks the eye. Does mass exposure debunk spirits, or embed them deeper in collective fear? Cinema's demon templates, from The Exorcist to Bollywood's ghost fighters. Film tropes shape our expectations of possession, convulsions, foul language, levitation. When a monk's seizure looks unreal to onlookers, they dismiss it or assume authentic spectres. Fiction and faith collide in messy theatre. Journalistic skepticism versus sensationalism. Investigative reporters sometimes debunk haunted temples. Others sensationalize every shadow. The pendulum swings between outright denial and lurid reportage. Neither clarifies whether spirit stories stem from real events or from our hunger for mystery. AI and the return of the uncanny deepfake audio can mimic exorcism mantras. AI-generated spiritual messages can be delivered in a saint's voice. As technology simulates possession, we face a paradox. The more we rationalize, the more we must ask, what remains when even demons can be manufactured? Modern myth makers don't just reflect our ghosts, they project them back onto us, challenging us to discern genuine possession from artful illusion. In the end, spirits may be real or wholly imagined, but their greatest lesson might lie in pointing us toward the impermanent nature of mind and world. Do we need ghosts to remind us that all phenomena fade? Demons as Dharma teachers. From Mara's assault under the Bodhi tree to village exorcists' chants, spirits challenge practitioners to hold fast amid terror. Their threat dramatizes the truth that nothing, neither joy nor horror, endures. Possession's pedagogy of letting go, whether a spirit is inside or a projection, the gripping fear of being overtaken mirrors our clinging to self. Facing that fear, through ritual or insight, teaches release. The same algorithm that frees from spirits frees from ego. Ritual as reminder. Exorcisms punctuate everyday life with stark symbols. Phurba pointing the way, mantras slicing illusion. These rituals aren't investments in the supernatural, so much as wake-up calls to reality's fleeting dance. Silence after the storm. When chants end and the last echo fades, silence reigns. In that quiet, the real possession may be revealed, the mind's habit of grasping. Buddhism doesn't expel spirits to deny the unseen, but to uncover the one thing neither spirit nor self can hold: pure emptiness. Whether or not spirits exist, their stories haunt us until we awaken to impermanence, the only ghost that never leaves. In a tradition wary of clinging, naming a spirit is a provocative act. It grants form to the formless. Yet silence can be complicity. So when does ethical responsibility demand that we address these entities directly? Naming as acknowledgement. To speak the spirit's name is to recognize its agency. Buddhism cautions against reifying phenomena, yet refusing to name oppressive forces can enable their unchecked influence over the mind. Consent of the unseen. We demand consent in human relationships. Should we grant spirits the same courtesy? Summoning a demon into awareness forces a dialogic stance. Are we rescuers, negotiators, or combatants? The risk of overreach, calling on protector deities or wrathful spirits, risks inflating ego with borrowed power. Ethics demand humility. Does summoning a Dharmapala empower the path, or serve as a shortcut for unresolved fear? Witnessing without weaponizing. The Bodhisattva ethic urges compassion for all beings, even those we deem malevolent. To name a spirit ethically is to hold its suffering in view, refusing to erase its narrative even as we seek liberation from its grasp. Ethical engagement with spirits walks a razor's edge between courageous recognition and ego's intoxication with arcane authority. Ultimately, spirit law and exorcism rites must serve the Dharma, not distract from it. Integration asks, how can we honor these legends without strengthening attachment to the supernatural? Myth as mirror, not monument. Legends of possession reflect psyche's depths. Integration means reading these myths as metaphors, diagnosing inner afflictions, rather than erecting new altars to unseen powers. Ritual as ritual, practice as practice. Exorcism ceremonies, like all rituals, are skillful means. When they become ends in themselves, fetishes of power, the practitioner slips from liberation into ritual addiction, embodying fearlessness. The true spirit to confront isn't any ghost, but our own trembling mind. Integration cultivates the ability to meet psychic disturbance with equanimity, rather than invoking rites to banish it. Non-dual embrace. In the end, no spirit is truly other. Integration dissolves the boundary between exorcist and exorcised, revealing that both demon and monk arise in the same field of awareness. A fully integrated path honors spirit law without feeding its flame. Walking the world neither haunted nor unseen, but awake to the impermanent play of mind and myth. Possession law shows us fear's architecture and belief's power to shape that fear. True liberation demands moving beyond both the terror of spirits and the sanctuary of faith. Facing the unnameable, I've chased shadows in caves and found only echoes of my own mind. The greatest exorcism is to sit with the unnameable, that trembling knot where mind and myth entwine, and let it unravel in silence The freedom of unbelief, rejecting spirits outright, can become a dogma, as binding as the most fervent faith. I've known skeptics more possessed by certainty than any villager by a ghost. Holding the threshold. The edge between psyche and spirit is a threshold to dwell upon. I park my questions there, neither stepping in nor fleeing, feeling the aliveness of not knowing as the true pulse of awakening, liberating the demon. Compassion for the demon within and without dissolves its reign. When I bow to the darkness in my mind, I discover that the demon was the very barrier to compassion I sought to destroy. To liberate shadow, we must cease the struggle. In the moment we drop both terror and disbelief. The boundary evaporates. Ghost and exorcist merge in boundless awareness. We began by asking, are Buddhist spirits fact or folklore? We end with a simpler question. Do you need spirits at all when silence holds the final truth? Embrace the quiet. Every chant ends. Every phurba rests. In that stillness, the last echo of fear fades, and with it, the last apparition. Own your shadow. The only power ghosts have is the power you give them. Own each tremor of mind. Only then can it unravel into clear space. Live in the unseen. The true unseen is not a spirit realm, but the fertile void at the heart of perception, where every form arises and dissolves. Bow to the mystery. No elaborate ritual can replace the simple gesture of bowing to the present moment, to the breath, to whatever arises beyond concept. In the end, the greatest exorcism is to rest in awareness before spirit or psyche can claim you. In that final silence, no ghost remains and no self to fear.